seat taken?
Nobody's in the seat, then I ain't taking, friend.
So this is, Sabacc?
Sabacc.
Welcome back to another episode of Sabacc the Block. Obviously, guys, we are not joined by Emma Fife today, but we are joined by Alden Diaz from Ach-To Radio. What's up, bro?
What's going on, man? Good to be here.
Yeah, man. How's your Tuesday going so far, bro?
Good, dude. Happy to be here with you. Been looking forward to it all day. Ever since you guys launched this show, I've been a fan. Once the second you announced it, and the name came out, I was like, that's clever. I was like, that's sick. So excited to be here. I love what you guys got going on. Sad I missed Emma. Like ships crossing in the night, but I'm sure we'll touch base again. Honored to be sitting in her seat for an evening. So it'll be good times. Star Wars, man.
Absolutely, man. And obviously we're going to get into that all the same, just as much in Sabacc the Block today's episode, guys. If there's anyone in the chat, let me know right now. Before we get into everything we have going on today, man, I just want to do a simple, quick background if anyone doesn't know who you are, kind of like where you come from, where you are, what's your Star Wars story, what did you grow up with in the Star Wars universe?
Yeah, man. So, it's so funny because you've been on my show, you've been on Ach-To Radio, and it's sort of like, it's the flip the script now where it's like, when you ask someone the questions, it's so much easier. But yeah, Star Wars is sort of like really just always been there, which is such a generic answer. But at the same time, I think back to some of those earliest memories and being a child of the prequel era, but also having like that knowledge of what came before and being able to immediately connect. I remember seeing, the Jake Lloyd Anakin and somebody telling me that like this Darth Vader walkie-talkie I had was that little boy, and me thinking like, how did he become that? And just how that fascinated me. And so it's always been there. And Attack of the Clones was the first one I saw in theaters. So it's just always been part of what made me want to work in entertainment and in media to tell stories. And so now I find myself in Miami producing morning radio for iHeart. So iHeart Radio down here, rock stations, 90s stations, a bunch of stuff. But also then, parlaying that into my Star Wars show, Ach-To Radio, where I do interviews, lots of people that, your fans may know from the space, you yourself included, our buddy Ken. There's been lots of people that have popped in and interviewing either Star Wars creators, things like that, spinning that off into some other stuff. People see over my shoulder, we got Rebels. That's a big focus. So yeah, man, just fighting the good fight, trying to keep the fandom thoughtful.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, when it comes to the prequel era, we all have thoughts on that, especially because you said you grew up with that. Yeah. You said Attack of the Clones was the first one you saw in theaters. What was that experience like, man?
That was just jaw-dropping, for so many reasons. Like, you've got your simple reasons. Like, at that time, it was just Harry Potter. There was a couple Marvel movies, your X-Men, things like that. But what George was doing was pushing so many boundaries that you didn't think were possible. You didn't know that they could be pushed because you didn't realize at that time the breadth of the filmmaking. So seeing things like Camino, Geonosis blew my mind. And then there's also like the funnier things like falling in love with Natalie Portman and just thinking like she was the coolest thing you'd ever seen in your life. With, you call this a diplomatic solution? No, I call it aggressive negotiations. I was like, I'm going to marry her. Like this is it. But it evolves more into realizing that it was like a myth, like that your love of fantasy comes from that. When Mace Windu shows up and it's this party's over. And that's when you see the true consolidated strength of the Jedi Knights, and that the 6-year-old is just jaw dropped. You can't recapture that. You can't bottle that. I mean, now with things like Light of the Jedi, we're getting a little bit back to that sort of spirit, which is exciting. But yeah, I feel like I've been chasing the high of Attack of the Clones forever.
That's amazing, man. And obviously, Revenge of the Sith, I'm assuming the same thing, right?
Yeah.
When it comes to seeing that as well.
That was crazy.
Yeah. And talk to me a little bit about when it came to the restart, the whole Disney era, the sequel fandom, and kind of, I'm assuming that's when you created your podcast, Ach-To Radio, right?
Yeah, well, I had a show back then that was a different show that went into the lead up to Disney. So it was like 2014-ish, where we were sort of like we don't know what it's going to look like, come December 2015. Like, what is this new movie? What is The Force Awakens? We know who J.J. Abrams is, but back then you're so trained to think in a narrow lane. You're like, can Trek do wars? Like, can he do both? We didn't know what to expect, but yeah, Ach-To Radio came a little bit later, but that whole era was so exciting to me because, and we'll talk about it later on in this show with games like Knights of the Old Republic, things like that. It's all you had, Force Unleashed, with your Sam Witwer, your Clone Wars as well, Ashley Eckstein, Ahsoka. So there was stuff to love, but the fact that it was coming back was so exhilarating. And I was all in on the era immediately. Rebels first out of the gate, and then meeting Rey, Finn, Poe, Kylo, BB. I can't, like, JJ gets flack, some deserved, I would say, but to go 5 out of 5 on creating those new characters that I just listed is insane when you think about it as a feat of creation.
I'm with you, man. Speaking of which, man, if you had to say, I'm not going to say your favorite because it's a little hard. Give me like a top 4. Give me like a Rushmore of like favorite all time.
It's Return of the Jedi, Last Jedi. If I can cheat and put Rebels in there, Rebels goes in the top 3. But if it's just films, Return of the Jedi, Last Jedi. I love Solo, and I really like that last slot is really difficult because it's like, oh, is he not going to put Empire? And it's like, yeah. But I don't know, man. I really love Rise of Skywalker. I love Attack of the Clones. I'm a person that I really push, like I know you do, the idea that Last Jedi and Rise of Skywalker work together more than they clash. If you just like open yourself up like the Jedi are telling you to. So yeah.
That's a good one. How about, I'm sorry I'm putting you on the spot, man.
No.
Give me a Rushmore characters and then we'll call it even.
Yeah, no. This one's actually, I think, a little bit easier. It's Han Solo, it's Sabine Wren, it's Kylo Ren, a little different, very different Ren, and then I would say that last slot is pretty difficult, but right now I'm gonna go Din Djarin as the 4th.
Wow, that's like all new characters.
Yeah, almost. Except for Han, yeah. Sometimes Luke gets in there, but it's difficult with Luke because when I say Luke, I really mean Last Jedi Luke. I mean old man Luke, the crate Luke with just the matrixing the blade and just everything he was able to do non-violently was amazing. But yeah, it is interesting that it's a lot of new characters too. I mean, yeah. Anakin gets in there. Young Anakin, but I don't condone the slaughter of younglings. So
yeah, it's a little tough to get behind.
Yeah.
I mean, if I had to do mine just for fun, I mean, just because now we're live streaming as well on our Twitch channel for anyone who doesn't know, and we're also live streaming on our Twitter platform, which is kind of brand new. RB3's right here, playing Mr. Engineer, playing Mr. Star Wars Fan 2. Obviously, RB3, if you want to jump in and give me your favorites, you can too. I'll go. Obviously, my all-time go is gonna always be Obi-Wan. He's always been my favorite. He probably will always be my favorite. I'll go Obi-Wan. I'll go Rey. Is always gonna be one of my favorite all-time characters.
She's amazing.
I'm gonna go Maul because I love Maul. And then I'll probably go. It switches a lot, but I'm gonna go Hera. Hera Syndulla.
Ooh, what a good
she's
choice.
Always in my top 5. Top 5
I
at
love
least.
her. The best pilot in Star Wars. I said it.
Right? That's what I said that last time, and a lot of people were like, "Oh, everyone's the best pilot in Star Wars," and I'm like,
No. Well, there's
Hera is though. Hera is the best pilot.
There's that great Forces of Destiny short where they're on Endor. Do you see that one? And she gives Han a bunch of crap, saying like, "Yeah, the Falcon's fine, but this baby right here, the Ghost." And I was like, absolutely.
Yeah. I still love that scene in Solo, the VCX 100.
Yeah.
I forgot what Lando says. He's like, "That's a quality ship. It's a quality ship."
Yeah, and then like after the game, he's like, "So, where's my VCX?"
Yeah.
Oh, it's in the shop.
Yeah. That's why Hera's always going to be one of my favorite characters. So that's probably my Rushmore. I'm not going to do movies because I swear I can go ad nauseum talking about how they're all my favorite.
Well, because there's so many caveats. It's like,
true.
On what day of the week are you catching me? Yeah. You know, like what mood am I in? Like if I want to feel a certain way, I'm going to go a certain way.
Yeah.
And there are ones that I rewatch way more than others, but it doesn't mean that I, love one anymore. I mean, it's getting so big at this point, like, and how frequently that conversation changes. I mean, we if we're talking now in a few years, we'll have another movie, we'll have 5 different, streaming series. So it's all Star Wars, man.
Yeah, speaking of which, man, I guess the next thing I'll jump to real quick is your thoughts on The Mandalorian and the finale, man. What'd you think of that?
I was just floored. I mean, I was floored by the entire season. I really was. I mean, obviously, there's the real world element of these episodes were shot with a cast member, and it was unavoidable at that point. I mean, they're locked, loaded in the can, and then someone starts mouthing off with horrendous views. So there's that element, but thankfully that was contained mostly to just an episode and a half, really. But in terms of the story, I mean, I love Din. I mean, Star Wars, I'm all about the families, the fathers and the sons, and Shmi, mothers and daughters. Hera, definitely a mom. But it affected me so much. I thought that the use of Luke was so effective because it was still about Din and the baby. It was still about little Grogu. I thought that, Pedro Pascal is just like unreal in this role when he's unmasked. So all of that really worked for me. I think that they found exactly. I think season 1 is great. Mm-hmm. Season 2, I think, is when you could tell everybody was like, not only do we know how to do this, we're going to, we're going to go full speed and bust out every toy. So I was impressed. I mean, it sold me on Boba Fett, a character who I always joked was overrated and that I didn't care.
Yeah, it's interesting, right? Because I said it was one of those seasons where every episode got better, and you don't say that a lot about a lot of shows where you start out and you're just like, all right, that's kind of it. But then for me, when it came to this season of The Mandalorian, I said every episode felt like that was my favorite. Oh no, that was my favorite. Oh no, this is my favorite. Yeah. So eventually we got to the finale, which was just like crazy insanity, just epicness. Basically a movie is what it was in the finale. I still liked the episode 8 the most. Not 8, I'm sorry. Which is the one where he does the Bill Burr tank heist. Oh,
that's the
it's called The Believer.
The Believer. Yeah, The Believer is the penultimate, right before the finale, the 7th.
That one was my favorite.
That's a smart script, man. Like that episode, I think in a way that hasn't been done outside of maybe the Finn and DJ stuff in Last Jedi, was Star Wars saying, okay, yeah, war, but what about it? Like that was that show saying, let's pump the brakes for a second. We're still on the way to get the baby, but here's a guy who is just a normal guy now explaining like what really happens to people in war. Because all of the ex-Imperials that we have, Iden, Callus, Emmanuel Doza, like there's a bunch of people that were Empire. All of them always turn or die, but when they turn, they are like, well, I'm good now. Mayfeld was like, no, dude, being a part of that stuff messes you up. And it was really important, I thought, for Star Wars. Yeah,
it's definitely, like you said, really well-written script. I think one of the best written scripts of the season when it comes to The Mandalorian, for sure. All right, man, let's jump into what we got as far as Star Wars news today. So if you can hit us with that soundbite, RB3.
I heard a story about you. I was wondering if it's true.
So obviously this isn't confirmed 100%. It is simply a rumor, but as we all know inside the Star Wars universe, where there is a rumor, there is a possibility, there is a way. And our first rumor, our first news story is that there is a possibility of a new Knights of the Old Republic game coming to a console near you, I guess. It depends what it is, but it seems like it'll be on a console. Either way, this comes from I'm reading it off IGN, but it's a Star Wars insider called Bespin Bulletin, saying that there is a possible development of a Knights of the Old Republic game. When it comes to a studio, they don't know yet, but apparently this is something that they're trying to keep secret, but it seems like it's already been outed and they might confirm it pretty soon. Alden, first of all, what do you think of this new Knights of the Old Republic game? And then obviously, what do you think of the old one?
Well, it's interesting because I feel like I almost can't answer one without the other, because it's, I go to this quote, and I'm a big classic rock guy. Like I mentioned up top, I worked on a rock station and stuff, and I'm a big Kiss fan. And when, there was a period where Kiss went away, then there was a period where it came back. And when a lot of stuff goes away for a long time and comes back, as we've seen now, sometimes you get your Cobra Kai's and your Force Awakens where everybody cheers. And sometimes you get really divisive ones or just hated ones, and even though Star Wars is back, Knights of the Old Republic is a very singular thing. And so this Kiss quote was, we don't have, now that we're back, we're not going to give you the concert that you saw when you were a little kid. We have to give you the concert that you remember seeing when you were a little kid. And I feel like I'm excited. If it's true, I will play it day one. I will take the week off if I have to and burn through this, because I love those first two games, especially the second one. Underrated. Amazing story. The problem is, you're going to the well that out of all legends, if it's not the Thrawn trilogy, this means the most to people. And if it ain't exactly what they want, it could be a firestorm.
That's true. Although I don't know, I'm not as involved in the video game world as I am, obviously, in the film and TV world. Yeah. And as much as I'm like, they can't be as bad as the TV and movie guys, right? I'm just like, oh, maybe they are. I don't know. Maybe video game fans are.
I almost wish that Emma was here to speak to that side, because I know she's such a big gamer, and obviously has her amazing streams and community. But I just from the outside looking in, like I know there was that Last of Us 2 stuff that happened. Right. With people sending death threats. And so, it could get nuts. That's the internet, and we'll talk about that too, coming up. But yeah, Knights of the Republic is one of those things where you want them to do it because that's such a rich time, and you want to see what it looks like in canon, because it's all not canon now. It's all legends. We've heard hints, like you and I both love Rebels. We've heard Kanan say like, yeah, we beat the Mandalorians in the Mandalorian Jedi Civil War. Like you hear that and you're like, what? Like, is that the first hint at Old Republic? And then they release High Republic, and that's only 200 years before Menace. And so you're like, okay, like they're establishing the Outer Rim now, pretty full-fledged Jedi. But if they're just now getting out to the Outer Rim 200 years before, that means that the canon Old Republic must be like sticks and stones Jedi. Like it must be like it's changing everything context-wise now. So now what does it look like? Are you going to use characters like Darth Revan? Are you not? Like, I don't think it's going to be anything anyone expects, and people should get ready for that.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy because it's interesting where the story can go, and we really don't know as far as like, will this be, hey, let's do Knights of, this could be like a straight up retelling. Yeah. I've never considered that, but maybe it's like, let's do it again, except with better graphics, better controls, in a better console. Now that we have these new generation consoles that are crazy, right? Maybe that's what it is, and maybe we can retell the same story to a new generation. What do you think of that? Is that too crazy?
No, I not in a post Final Fantasy VII world. Final Fantasy VII Remake was huge. I played it. I loved it. I thought it was totally worth doing. If you did that and you just say as Lucasfilm Games, because now that's, now we're in that world too of Lucasfilm Games. It's not just whoever they're partnering with, they have their own umbrella now, like the LucasArts days. You could say, hey, we're releasing this game, guys. It's a remake. It ain't canon. Don't think about it. But if you try to do Knights of the Old Republic, not remake, not Knights 3, but you say this is Knights of the Old Republic, canon and new, then it has to be massive. It has to be like Elder Scrolls. It has to be, the expectations then are like movie level through the roof, I would think.
Which is possible nowadays, at least. I mean, especially like you just mentioned, Last of Us Part 2. Like, if you can make a game like that, like you can do something like this. The other question I have for you, man, before we move on from the video game portion, is the Ubisoft. I think they announced it last week, where it comes to the Ubisoft open world Star Wars game. What do you think of that?
I'm really excited for that because I love open world games. I love games where I can piece out from the main story for a few hours. I think that's part of the popularity of Spider-Man, you know, which ties into both of the points we just discussed of you can deliver a movie level experience. There are people, many of them, that prefer the Peter and Miles games of the PlayStation to any of the films. You know, that has become their version. So if you could deliver something like that in Star Wars, where it's like, maybe this is, you know, connected, but not connected enough. Like, you know, like we thought The Mandalorian would be before the child blew our minds. If this is a game about a bounty hunter and it's like, you can visit these 20 planets, there's plenty of jobs to do. And if you want to follow a story, you can, you don't need to. That could blow people's minds. But I honestly, I joked about it on Twitter, but I'm serious about it. I just want to be like a farmer. Like at the beginning of Rogue One, when he's like farming, man of your talents. Like I want that to be me. Like I would love to just have loth wolves and banthas and just chill.
Yeah. Yeah, I could see a game like that too. Now that that's the other, I'll kind of, you know, finish up with this, and I want to toss it to RB3. I hope you're around, RB3. To the idea of now that it is not exclusivity based on what Lucasfilm had before. Now it's Lucasfilm's games, and pretty much any studio can adapt this. We're probably gonna see, you know, those kind of games where it might even be like mobile games where you're a farmer and you're taking care of your bantha or your moisture evaporators or whatever it is.
Right.
What do you think of the whole Lucasfilm Games announcement too?
I think it's smart. I mean, it's a really smart move. For PR, because even though I enjoy the Battlefronts a lot, loved Fallen Order. Squadrons I really like, even though I'm terrible at it. Still really liked it. It's not my fault. It's not their fault. I'm not a good pilot. But it is documented that it's like, wow, you know, 2012 to 2021, 4 releases. Like that's tough, you know, in the video game world. In the movie world, it's, you know, whatever, it takes a few years to make a movie. But in the gaming world, people expect like Call of Duty level output. So again, like I'm not a gaming expert, but it just seems like now saying Lucasfilm Games, come talk to us about what you want to do. We'll let you know about story, and then you make it. That's only going to help them, you know, because then 5 years from now, they could be like, look at the 30 games we made under the first Lucasfilm. Like it just looks great for that.
That's a good point. RB3, do you have any thoughts on the Knights of the Old Republic or any connection to it?
I really don't know that much about Knights of the Old Republic, honestly. So I'm just kind of listening to y'all chat about it. But it sounds exciting for sure.
How about the open world idea too, and the idea of, have you played the new Miles Morales game, man? I haven't asked you yet.
Yes,
I know this is a Star Wars show, but what do you think so far?
Yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. Yeah. I mean, I love. As y'all know, I love open world games, and open world games are like super dope to me. I have a really hard time with, you know, I want to see a Star Wars open world game. That's something I've been aspiring to see, but I'm kind of interested to see what direction they take. Like I said, like is it going to be multiple planets? Like, are you going to be hopping from planet to planet? Will it be one planet that you stay on? Because, you know, I can see an open world game where there's one planet. I don't know how moving from planet to planet is going to move, and how, you know, are they going to build out big, like detailed, you know, planets with like, you know, for different ones, if it's going to be truly open world. But, you know, I'm not as familiar with the story of Knights of the Old Republic, so I'm interested to see how that story could be translated into an open world format, you know?
Yeah, that's the thing too, where it comes to the cyberpunk of it all. I hate to bring it up, but the idea that cyberpunk was like, yeah, we're going to do everything's interactable, the whole city, and then the freaking console can't take it. It's just like too much power. And now they're going to build this new game, and they're going to be like, every planet you can visit, you're going to like kill this game. It's going to be a million bugs.
Yeah, I mean, like it's that question of like, it's that question of where does every gamer stand? You know, like should they admit up front like this is going to be a living experience? Like, yes, buy it now for $60, but you're not going to be able to visit. You know, you can only visit the core worlds, you know, and then you can visit the mid rim next year when we expand. Like that honesty might benefit them, but at the same time, it's like you're sort of damned if you do, damned if you don't with expectations, you know.
I want to give some love to the chat. Darth Mr. Meeseek says, think Mass Effect, but hopefully bigger. Yeah, Mass Effect. Brandon Devine says Star Wars Skyrim on a galactic scale. So those are two examples there, Mass Effect and Skyrim, two games that I haven't played.
Mass Effect trilogy, yeah, I'm in love with that trilogy. Yep. So
this is you're talking to a guy who plays Battlefront 2 for like 4 years straight.
Hey man,
and Call of Duty. That's it.
Hey man, I'm with you, man. On the Battlefront 2, when they decided to just walk away, it was at its peak. I was so hurt when that happened. Yeah. Like I wasn't trying to be entitled because they gave us so much for free. But they had just put in the Sith troopers. They had put in Rey's yellow saber. It was all
which I was
together.
Playing with every day.
I know. I was like, ooh, they're gonna put in Din Djarin and Gideon. It's coming. This is gonna be the next thing. And then
Ahsoka's gonna pop up and heroes and villains.
Yeah, that's what it was. That's what it was, man. Because you just jogged memory. They nixed the game as Clone Wars Season 7 was coming. And I thought for sure that it was going to be like Ahsoka and Ventress or Ahsoka and Pre Vizsla or someone like that. And then they...
Inquisitor.
Yeah. And then they nixed
it could be anyone. Yeah. I mean, there was so many possibilities, and the idea of doing a game like that was just so much fun to me. I had a blast, and I debated with Emma last week. I had a blast playing Heroes and Villains, man. Like the 4-on-4, the whole thing. It was like it changed every time, and it was always weird, and it was always one-sided, but I still had fun.
It was always one-sided for the villains, which is why I was excited for Din or Bo or Ahsoka or somebody to show up and add some weight and like go ahead.
No, can I ask who you played as?
That's what I was gonna say. Is that
who's your go-to?
Everything changed when they added the BB units because that added a support element and like it changed everything. So I loved playing as BB-8 and BB-9E. But I was a huge Han guy. I thought I was very good with Han. He was strong. My highest ranked. Yeah, the DL-44 packs a punch. And then on the villain side of things, I was big into Dooku. I love that fencing style that he had and how he could put the arm behind the back and really lock in. That stuff was good.
I always got killed by Dooku when I was playing against him on the other side. So here's my thing. I always play as Rey. That's just what it is. When I'm on the hero side, when I'm on the villain side, I pick a controversial pick, but I swear I kick ass when I'm Iden. When I'm Iden Versio, I'm like unstoppable as Iden. And I think it's just me like specializing with one character. I don't think it's that she's necessarily that strong. I think she's middle of the pack.
Yeah.
But I think when I play her, I'm just so elite as her that I can take down the whole hero side.
That's interesting, man. I thought you were going to say Maul because you love him.
Oh, no. I suck as Maul, but
Me too.
My second best is Kylo because I'm pretty good at like handling Kylo.
Yeah.
And then
him and Rey are good for like crowd control too.
Yeah, Oh, I forgot for heroes. Oh, Han I would do a lot of Leia too.
Yeah, Leia was great. Han, Leia, and Lando, all three great blaster heroes.
Yeah,
for sure.
And I know a lot of people plays Chewie too, but if you play Battlefront 2, let us know in the chat who you play as.
We're gonna bring it back
as we get into some more serious stuff. Let's talk Battlefront 2 and at the same time talk about what's going on in Star Wars. So let's go to the green Psylocke.
If you'd only had this little green Psylocke.
All right, so the green Psylocke's going to be a little heavy, guys, but since we don't have too many people in the chat right now, I guess you guys are going to be getting this exclusive conversation. Over the weekend, we did have, not over the weekend, over last week, I want to say that we did have an exciting announcement that we have a new show coming to the Star Wars YouTube channel called The High Republic Show, hosted by Krystina Arielle. I haven't had the pleasure Yeah, round of applause for that. I haven't had the pleasure of meeting Krystina, but RB3 has, and she's actually friends with RB3.
Oh, cool.
But we were all pretty excited to have her host a new show inside the Star Wars universe. I think that's always cool. I want them to create more shows and more content that people can get behind, that people can be featured on, that we can have authors and guests on. I think that's just really cool. Unfortunately, the Star Wars fandom has been known to be incredibly toxic, incredibly exclusive, incredibly just really, really negative. I 2 weeks ago did a Schmodown conversation speech where I mentioned the toxicity that's been happening, and I feel like there should be a portion, there should be an outcry within the Star Wars universe that is 100% directed against this kind of fandom, and that is 100% in support of people who are speaking up for actual issues.
Yep.
Recently, Star Wars mentioned the whole John Boyega speech that he did and saying they were 100% behind him. But stuff like that, where when it comes to Black Lives Matter, when it comes to trans rights, all this kind of stuff shouldn't be like controversial. It should be very clear and very easy to stand up for these fans and these people. It shouldn't be a controversy whatsoever. And the fact that a large portion, and I'm going to say large because it is large, because a lot of people are saying it's a small portion. A large portion of the fandom inside the Star Wars universe is incredibly toxic, incredibly negative. And I wanted to bring up this conversation, not necessarily to deliberate a point, to talk about it, to say, look how bad we are, but necessarily to say what can be done, because this is almost to me like another final straw, if that's even possible to have a final straw, because we've had so many final straws in a row that we're just like, when is it going to be, you know, an official, some sort of stance, some sort of decision, some sort of action that actually happens inside the Star Wars community and inside Lucasfilms itself, that something that the fans can do to go against this negative fandom. I don't know if you have any thoughts on this, and obviously I'll toss it to RB3 as well, but Alden, you go ahead.
No, totally. I mean, it's obviously an extremely loaded question. I have very deep and complex thoughts. I'm not gonna go so far into just about what the fandom is, because I think that like it's ironic, you know, Palpatine, you know, ironic, and it is that it's these stories that drive people to do these things, because it just, to me, shows how fundamentally wrong a lot of people are about what they mean. I think that a lot of it is tied in terms of it's tied in with the terms that America has set in a lot of ways for the battle of its own soul, for whatever, soul is left. I mean, we just seen what we've got out of in terms of these 4 years, where we have a very like step on anyone's neck, you know, to get ahead in life mentality. We have a very tribalist mentality. We have, you know, a very racist mentality, poisoning all of our environments. And that becomes infecting, you know, it becomes an infecting agent sort of like in these fandom spaces, because the internet is just, you know, the microscopic version of the world, of life. You know, we can look at the Star Wars fandom, and there are different kinds of Star Wars fans, just like there are different kinds of people. So it's like, it's just a reflection. The same way the story is a reflection of life and a reflection of George's politics, which you spoke about in your speech, the fandom is as well. So it almost bothers me to say, like, you know, we say it like Star Wars fandom is toxic, and then I hate it and I want to reclaim that. And it makes me so angry and hurt, because I love this thing and you love this thing and RB3 loves this thing and Emma loves this thing and everybody that we know, and none of us are like that. And it's like, what can we do? And I think that the only thing we can do is be consistent and to push back and to say, yes, it is toxic, but it doesn't have to be. You know, like there's an ideal that we need to like never let go of, because they want you to throw your hands up and say, oh, whatever, you know, but we can't do that when it's these fundamental issues. You know, when someone as great as Krystina Arielle is going through this, who are we? You know, you have to ask yourself, like, who are you? Like, because there's no middle ground on some of these issues. So it's like, if you're not standing up for her and with her, or anyone in her position that's been targeted by these alt-right, let's call them what they are, alt-right, white supremacists, toxic, jerk, bullies, sad human beings that lost their way somewhere, then you're abiding it, and I think that's been a huge part of the conversation since, the boom in the wake of George Floyd. And I think that for my part, I'm Puerto Rican, but I'm extremely white passing, as is evident. It's on white passing and white fans the most, I think, to repel the things that would overlook them. No one would bully me in Star Wars Twitter. Maybe they would hate a take I had, but no one's going to victimize me in the same way they would Krystina Arielle. And it's up to me, I think, and people like me to say that this is wrong, that it's on us to push back on it.
Yeah, RB3, I definitely want to give you the floor as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely, it's sad because, there's definitely there's definitely an atmosphere that's cultivated in the film media space, whether that's YouTube or online or Twitter or wherever there's a platform. There's always going to be negativity that pops up, right? And that's something we actually spoke to Lindsay Ellis about on our first the Meaning of podcast when she joined us, which you can find that clip on the First Cut YouTube channel right now. But yeah, I mean, it's almost like there's an incentive, like there's like a monetary or for some people it's just like a spiritual incentive to just tear somebody down, and it's really strange because a lot of times when these idiots are complaining about like being racist, like she's being racist towards me because I'm white, like whatever. Yeah, you're fun. Like you're either purposefully misinterpreting what she said and making yourself a victim because you feel like a victim because you feel sorry for yourself because you're a loser and you have like no like way to make yourself feel happy other than to make somebody else feel worse, or you're legitimately deranged and you have no actual conception of what racism is in this country. And for that, like, it's nobody's job to educate you like how the world works or how it should work or whatever. Like, that's on you. But what it's not on you to do is to take that out on somebody else and to make them feel less than, and to call them words and names that are not, that are outside of their name. So to all those like clown face losers who are out there, these no profile picture, and who was it? I don't even want to say the name of the people who like even started this whole thing because we don't want to give them no credit, credibility either. But I mean, it's just sad seeing that there's these like loser channels and loser people who are literally capitalizing off of hating a franchise that people love, that people from all backgrounds and all communities could love. So it's foolishness, it's sickening, and I hope just like the real Trumpies in the world, I hope they find a way off of the platforms we like and on to their own thing, so they could just stay in their own echo chamber and not mess with us anymore. So.
Yeah, it's incredibly layered, right? This entire conversation, like you said, Alden, because there's several layers to it. I think you hit on one, RB3, that always bugs me, and I've tweeted about this several times. I tweeted about it a couple weeks ago, but it's this idea that out of all the things that invites so much white supremacist toxic fandom, it's Star Wars. Like, really, y'all? Like, have y'all seen Star Wars? To me, that's the one thing that I'm like, at least if it was like some really muddled, kind of weird right-wingy movie, I'd be like, no, duh.
Yeah, or it feels like a Tarantino or something. Or
yeah, like a Tarantino thing, or like, I don't know, some kick-ass, like, Expendables. Sure, I wouldn't be shocked if I'm being honest. But it's not Expendables. This is Star Wars. It's hyper-political. Yeah. It very much shows the other side, that what happens of authoritarian government, a fascist government, one man in power, holding on to power. Like, my God, this is literally what we're seeing today, and it's not on your side. It is literally the opposite of your side. That's the thing that bugs me the most, and that's part of me where I say, hey, can y'all just go to another fandom? Like, really? Like, can y'all just leave?
And that's the thing. If I could just jump in for a second, I mean, it's when you touch on those ideas about like what Star Wars is and like how it baffles you, and it baffles you, RB3, and it baffles me too. I feel like their hatred, you know, and like I love that you said that, RB3, that it's not on, you know, it's not on any group that is attacked to do the teaching, you know, like it's not your job to make sure that, you know, their soul gets straight and finds the right path again, because they misunderstand all these things. It seems like almost intentionally, because, and again, like that's why I said, like, it's America brought down into American art. Like America, I mean, yeah, Star Wars was shot in England, but like America exports these stories in a lot of ways, and they are, you know, like Tony Stark and like Star Wars, like these blockbusters, like things like that. The Matrix is another big one. They love to talk about, you know, on the right, the red pill, the red pill. Like, don't you guys don't understand like the trans lives allegory at work there, the left leaning anti-establishment, anti-authoritarianism stuff that's going on, because you don't want to see it because you felt like it was yours, you know, badass black leather guns, you know, chicks in shades, like just like you felt like Star Wars was yours, but Star Wars is teaching you that it's not yours. You know, that's Luke. That's you know, to say that if the Jedi die, the light dies is vanity. This is vanity in its real life. And they feel like they have a claim to this for whatever reason. But, you know, I think that it's bigger. And again, like, we're not going to spend forever on this, and I don't want to go too long, but just like this idea of what you both just touched on, of the layers and what we can do. These companies, you know, we talked about like Trumpies being banned off of these platforms. The companies are not going to save us. You know, the companies are not going to go in, you know, Disney on a bigger level, because Lucasfilm might have whatever heart and intent that they want. You know, social media at Lucasfilm might be furious that Disney won't let them, you know, what. So it's like, it's complicated, but we need to stick together. You know, you need to help someone that you don't know. If you see it, you say something, you step in, you prove that you do understand the story that they're upset about.
Yeah, the other thing too is, honestly, guys, I've been seeing this happen, maybe because I've been closely following the Star Wars community, like really closely following it when the Disney Lucasfilm transaction was happening. And it was the Force Awakens, guys. Like, we saw this. We saw the Force Awakens trailer come out. We saw the hyper racist, like purely full-blown racist thoughts and comments that were coming onto YouTube, and then they were turning into YouTube channels. And then we saw YouTubers start to cling on to this and say, hey, if I can get those guys who are commenting like, we shouldn't see black stormtroopers, we shouldn't see black people in Star Wars in a leading role, because we all know it's a white savior who saves us all, and it's Luke Skywalker because he's white, that's why he saves the day. And it's this weird twisted ideology that they have. And then I saw some YouTubers that I won't name now, but I saw them actually say the same things that those comments were saying. I went out of my way to say, well, I'm not watching them anymore. That's one way we can just quickly just say, shut that door. Where I was like, you guys are jumping onto this train? The whole, like, Star Wars is going after the white man.
You got to fight this narrative, like this SJWs, like people love to throw that around. Like, if you, sorry that you don't understand that everyone in Star Wars is fighting for social justice, and the fact that like you're saying, deplatform them, don't watch, don't click on YouTube, don't show me this again, or hide video. Like, the algorithm wants hate because this is a money game to them. They don't care, and so it becomes an issue of like, you know, they will always move on to the next thing. They attacked John Boyega, Force Awakens trailer. Then, you know, they couldn't bring John down, and John was having an amazing time. Or we thought, you know, at the time, him and Harrison Ford, buddy. So who did they move on to? They moved on to Daisy, bullied her off Instagram. They moved on to Kelly, bullied her off Instagram. They will always find a person of color, a woman, an LGBTQA, a community member, going back to Jake Lloyd and Ahmed Best.
Yeah, that's why the Star Wars fandom has always been pretty bad. But the way it just exploded into white supremacist is just something that really blew up these past few years, and obviously a lot of it has to do with this past administration. Not all of it, obviously. This has been before that. I acknowledge that. That's not what I'm saying, but I really do feel like a lot of that came from the whole shock of like, what's Finn doing here? This is a white man story, and it's this whole weird, twisted white supremacist fantasy that they have, that they think that Star Wars is, which it isn't. Full disclosure, that's just facts. It's what it is. And also it turned into the whole Rey thing, like you mentioned too. My thing too, man, is like, I really feel like a no tolerance policy is really clear too. Also, when it comes to those type of people, you know who they are. It's not one of those things where they necessarily keep it quiet. So an easy way too is just not allowing, not being baited into somehow conforming their platform and making them bigger is another clear and easy thing to do. Is not engaging with it. At least that's how I've done it. I've been on the other side of it because I was on Collider Jedi Council and I just got shredded. Every episode in the comment section, I acknowledge that, but that's such a minor thing compared to someone like Krystina, what she's going through right now, being a woman of color. It's completely different. It's much more putrid. It's much more heavy, the kind of vitriol that she's getting on her side. But I really do feel like it needs to be addressed and it needs to be talked about in a way that is acknowledged. And it's very clear and upfront. I recently saw a video talking about fandoms that are very hard to deal with and toxic. And that's usually Star Wars. And it's usually at the top of people's list. And I think it should stay there as long as people acknowledge it. People should say, hey, watch out for Star Wars fans, because a lot of them are this way. And I think as long as you keep that in mind, you know exactly where it's coming from and you know where to push back. So those are
that's the thing. And I'll end on this. Like, Lucasfilm says, and a lot of us say, Star Wars is for everyone. That's true unless you're spilling hate, because then I would say I don't consider you a Star Wars fan. I consider you someone who appropriates a family story and uses it for bullying and harassment. And as Lucasfilm goes forward, you've got Leslie Headland, a queer woman running one of their shows, Rick Famuyiwa from Mandalorian, now doing Children of Blood and Bone for Lucasfilm, their first non-indie, non-Willow, non-Star Wars in forever that they've done. You've got Deborah Chow taking on Obi-Wan, one of their most iconic characters. They are, Patty Jenkins. You are seeing women and people of color and queer people being positioned on the chessboard now. And I think that we should all prepare to not just support, but defend and say that we are happy about these moves. And as the company tries to change, the blowback will happen in the same way that it happened politically. The same way we can already see, new administration, and all of a sudden it's like, let's take over the Capitol. Like, there's always going to be an equal pushback of darkness. Just line in the sand time. Like you said, no tolerance.
Yeah, it really is. RB3, any final thoughts before we move on, man?
No, I mean, obviously I had, went through something that was, not obviously to the same extent, but having, weirdos on Twitter coming at you. And, I definitely realized during that time, the thing that really helps is like the supportive messages. So if you want to send support, send some positive tweets, send some love to Krystina's way. Show her that we encourage positivity. We encourage good things in the Star Wars universe. And as the Star Wars, as y'all said, the Star Wars company should. I mean, as Lucasfilm should. I mean, obviously they do good things, like you said, Alden, like hire great people of color behind the scenes and women of color to run their shows, but then they also do terrible things, like let Gina Carano, still run her own thing there too. So I do feel like they if they really want to step up and mean what they say, they gotta do it on all levels too. So
yeah, that's my thing, and I'll quickly get into this, and I really do mean quickly, because I don't want to be keep talking about one point, but I do want to quickly address the whole idea of the Gina situation, where when you go on her Twitter, and I wrote this down, and I wrote it down on my notes, the kind of stuff that she's liked on Twitter is talking about how there's no such thing as racism, how there's more people racist against Trump people, how masks are a myth, how you shouldn't wear a mask. Obviously, we all know about what she, has done to the trans community as well. That's an obvious one. She's gone out of her way to denounce Black Lives Matter as if Black Lives Matter is some sort of organization that is killing people or something like that. She's gone out of her way to speak against Black Lives Matter, which to me is just completely out of left field. Like even like the most right-wing companies said Black Lives Matter. Like, my God, like it's so easy to say that to me, her going against that to me is the biggest what the hell. And it just, the list keeps going on and on and on and on. The type of videos that she retweets is videos talking about how there's no such thing as racism and how, they're trying to take away your right to speak out against people and speak your mind, and like really like vitriol, hatred type YouTubers who are spewing hyper negative comments to the point that I really do feel like it needs to be addressed, like you said, RB3. Really
absolutely.
Alrighty, let's move on to our POC Spotlight. This is something that we do every week on Sabacc the Block. It's where we talk about a person of color that is inside the Star Wars universe that is kick-ass and that we all love. This week, we want to highlight our boy, Lando Calrissian, the guy who does a lot of things inside the Star Wars universe. As we all know, he is heavily featured in this show because he plays Sabacc, and we're Sabacc the Block, so a lot of it is featured after him. You'll hear him in a lot of sound bites too. But Alden, I want to give you the floor.
Sabacc?
Yeah.
Sabacc.
Yeah. That's our boy. Alden, I want to give you the floor to talk a little bit about your connection with Lando, any favorite moments you have of Lando, all that good stuff.
Yeah, Lando is interesting because I think that I was just talking about this the other day with some friends, like what are the best intros in Star Wars ever? And I would say that I think that the best one ever, I led the conversation by saying Rey has the best introduction ever. Just thinking about that scavenging and the silence of Jakku and all that. But then like 2 minutes later, I was like, whoa, Lando Calrissian. Because you are given all of New Hope or Star Wars, depending on when you saw it, to think of Han as like this singular guy. And then when he says like, I know someone, it's like, whoa, who does Han Solo go to for help? Like, and the fact that Billy D was a little bit older than all of them, like he seemed a little bit more put together. You are immediately like, whoa, this guy. And then he betrays them. And then all of a sudden he's helping them. Like I think is like the first time as a kid that you're really introduced to in that movie, an anti-hero. And then he becomes a full hero in Jedi. But I always thought he was just so cool. I always thought that which is like the most popular thing you can say about Lando. He's cool. Yeah, of course he is. But when you think about his legacy, first of all, what other character can say that it's been played by two of the coolest men to ever work in entertainment ever, period, with Billy D and Donald Glover, Childish Gambino, Childish Landino, as some would call him. He has been serviced so well across the eras. I think that in modern Disney canon, Lando has been treated in some of the best ways with the Donald Glover version, bringing Billy D into Rise of Skywalker. And I thought he was great in that movie. He had, I think, one of the best Marvel comics with the 5-issue Charles Soule Lando book. He was great in Battlefront 2. He appeared in Rebels. Like, they have peppered Lando throughout. And every time you see him, every time he enhances a story, because he is like, he loves himself. And I think a way that a lot of Star Wars heroes either don't, because they're broken or because they are working on themselves or they're on their journey. You get the idea that maybe teenage Lando, maybe he was insecure before we knew him, but Lando truly is like the self-love Star Wars character.
Yeah, that's a good one. RB3, any thoughts on Lando, man, or any connection to him?
Yeah, I mean, obviously I came into the Star Wars lore a little bit later, but I didn't really associate like Lando. Like I didn't, I for one, like I've said before, my intro to Star Wars has been through The Force Awakens. Like, I'm sorry, not The Force Awakens, The Force Unleashed video games, right? So that was like how I was first introduced, right? And then obviously the prequels, and then you got like, which I didn't see in theaters, but I knew like, obviously like Mace Windu and like all that kind of stuff. But then like when I first saw these movies, like I really didn't know, especially because when you watch the first one, Lando's not in it at all. When you watch the original trilogy movie, because I watched them in release order when I first saw him, he's not in there at all. So when he comes up in the second one, it's like, oh shoot, there's just like this really cool, really swaggy dude. And then you see like, for me, like a lot of where the iconic like lines and moments come from in the Star Wars universe. So I thought it was really cool. I love seeing Billy D. He's always been like the smoothest cat in the room, and I like seeing that flair in the Star Wars. I like seeing that because I always feel like Han Solo, Harrison Ford brings a little bit of that like white soul, to the part. But then I feel like Lando is like that soul that rubbed off on him a little bit. So. Really appreciate the great OG that is Lando.
Yeah, obviously a great introduction in Empire, as you said, Alden. That's when you go to Cloud City, you're kind of shocked by the sheer craziness of it all, and to see Lando as like the king of that spot, like the top dog there, it gives him even more credence of like a badass. Yeah. And when you know that he has a history too in the past, like this guy was crazy. It makes you even imagine a crazier story. And then obviously when we get I was going to say the Childish Gambino version, the Donald Glover version of Lando 2 and Solo, it's so freaking cool. His connection with L3, we see that little droid connections that he has. Yeah. The fact that he's a card player, the fact that he's a good pilot and he's smart too, and he finds a way out of situations is also really cool to see. And finally, his blaster is so freaking cool.
Oh, it's nice
it's my favorite blaster.
What is it, like a pearl inlay, sort of like in that? I forget that you're the trivia player.
It's SR14.
Okay.
Repeating cannon blaster.
I believe it.
SR14, I think is what
I believe it. I'll go to the visual dictionary later, but I believe it.
But Kylo has it in The Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah, okay, right? Like that is that blaster, right? Okay,
it is the one, yes.
Yeah, it makes me think like, did Uncle Lando, like, because he gives him one. So yeah, so that's
canon, man.
That's canon. He gave him one. I just think that, yeah, again, like what you said about like getting to Cloud City and stuff, like then you find out like, oh, this guy won an entire city in a game, and then imagine being a kid in 1980 who loved Star Wars, the original film. Then you meet this man and he's like, no, that ship is mine. Like, it's like, what? Like, Han shooting the Falcon, like they're like this. Then you meet this character and he like changes your view on things, and he's like, no, Han Solo, like RB3 said, like he rubbed off on him. Like you get this idea, like that's a goofball trying to be a badass. I'm a badass. Yeah,
I love Lando, and obviously I probably got the pistol right. I'm sorry, I'll look it up after the show. Don't quiz me now. It was something like that. Either way. But yeah, to finish up our show, let's go to Squad Up real quick. I have a quick Squad Up for you guys. And RB3, if you would indulge me to play along if you were down.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay? Yeah. I'm turning off the work phone this time, baby. Let's go.
It's literally one sentence long, guys. Let's do it. I put in my full effort into this, into writing this. So it's simple. You are you are a thief hired by one of the crime syndicates to steal some coaxium from a rival gang. These are the things you will need in order for a successful mission. You need 1, a getaway speeder to make sure you have a quick escape. So a getaway speeder. 2, a convincing excuse in case you get caught by the rival gang. 3, a lucky totem that will bring you the best of luck in this crazy situation you're in. 4, a partner in crime that will be the lookout and might be formidable in a fight. And finally, 5, a getaway ship to leave the planet as quick as possible. So I'll go through those one time real quick. You are a thief hired by a crime syndicate to steal coaxium from a rival gang. You need a getaway speeder, a quick excuse to get out, a lucky totem, a partner in crime, and a getaway ship. I'm going to start with you, Alden. Any order you want to go in, what you got, man?
All right, so the first thing you asked me for was a speeder, right?
Yeah.
I gotta
Any kind of
go.
speeder.
Yeah, I'm gonna go.
Doesn't have to be your classic speeder. It could be any kind.
Right. I'm gonna check the name here. You would probably know its name. I'm not gonna do the quizzing thing. Give me the yellow speeder parked at Padme's apartment.
Is it the
Attack of the Clones?
XJ6?
XJ6 air speeder. He's right. I had it up on my phone. I was like,
yeah.
Let's see if you know. Yeah,
that's
of course you know it. Yeah. Give me the XJ6, because even as a kid, when Anakin leaves the apartment and he's in that little, I guess, parking lot outside of her apartment and he's about to pick one, he even jokes to Obi-Wan, like, I had to find the right speeder, open roof and everything. Fell in love with it as a kid. Fell in love with it. And obviously it can go low, it can go high. Very advantageous. So that would be my speeder. Are we going round robin?
We're going round robin. Yeah.
Okay.
So RB3, what's your getaway speeder, man?
Well, I mean, I don't know. I
you
don't
can just
really
tell
know
me
different
one
kind of speeders. I mean, what's the one that Rey uses in the she has?
Oh, in The Force Awakens?
Oh no, you know what? Maybe I actually want to take the what's the speeder? What's the speeders that they use in the third? And
Return of the Jedi?
Return of the Jedi, yeah.
The speeder bike?
Yes, the bike.
Yeah,
yes.
74Z, bro. Let's go.
There we go. I want one of those.
Classic.
That's a 74Z speeder bike is what it's called. That was going to be my choice because I love speeder bikes, man. I think I'm going with the speeder bike too. And I have two choices. So I could either go with one, Anakin speeder bike in Attack of the Clones, the Zephyr G swoop. I don't know if you guys know what I'm talking about, but it's the one where
Enfys?
It's the one where he's riding to go find his mom.
Oh,
so
yeah.
The theme plays
with Duel of the Fates.
Yes, the Duel of the Fates plays.
Yeah.
And he's riding his Zephyr G swoop, and he's asking Jawas for which way to go and all that. That scene.
Yeah.
Or I could go with the one I'm actually going with, and I don't even know why, but I think it's slick as hell. It's the Patrol speeder bike. In Solo, a Star Wars story.
Yeah.
It's crashed. It's called the CPH speeder bike. I think that thing is so cool and so slick.
That's a good one.
I'm going to get away in my speeder bike, the CPH Patrol speeder bike. So now you have a choice of an excuse to get you out of the situation, Alden.
So I'm now caught.
Yes, you're caught.
I'm stealing something.
Yes. What are you doing here?
Well, it's interesting because I was here checking out and making sure that the all of the access ports around the facility were okay. That's why I had a spike in this access port here. I'm just checking it out and just making sure they're all up to code. This has been a maintenance check, and peace out.
RB3, what's your excuse, man? What are you doing here?
Well, I'm just I was on my way to the Tashi station for the power converters.
Tashi station's not even on this planet, bro. You on the wrong planet. No, I'm playing. I didn't specify what planet.
He's like, what? Really? Are you sure?
That's actually a fair excuse.
That's a good one. That's
You were like, bro, I thought this was the Tashi station, man. I'm new, bro. I'm dumb.
What am I supposed to do? What am I supposed to do about it? I don't know.
Ask for directions now, RB3. Get out of there.
I'll be like, if it's a rival gang and maybe the gangs know each other, I'll be like, hey, I'm an emissary who was sent to broker a deal. Do you not hear about the deal we have going on? There's a really cool deal going down between two of our top lieutenants. I was sent by another top lieutenant, and I'll probably name another rival gang so they don't know it's my rival gang that I was hired by. That'll be my excuse
That's funny.
to get out of a situation. So now you get a lucky totem, Alden. Any lucky totem that you want to carry along?
Yeah, I actually, it's funny. I actually have my lucky totem here in my desk. I'm going to bust out a couple calamari flan. Those are going to be my totems. Shout out to my friend Tori Fox, who makes calamari flan that you can buy. And so I'm gonna be like, yeah, my best friend was from Mon Cala. I carry these around. Like, I'm not working for a Mon Calamari gangster or anything. Certainly not. I like squishy money. Yeah. That's what I like.
That's good. That's good. RB3, any lucky totem you want to bring along?
I just want that broom that the kid had at the end of The Last Jedi. That's all I want.
Specifically his broom. You stole it from him.
Yeah. Because I don't know if it was the broom moving or if it was him. You know what I mean? Like, so.
It's the broom that has force powers.
Yeah, that's it.
It's the broom from Tenet.
We need to do an investigation on this broom.
You got to catch the broom. The broom doesn't catch you or whatever. This is all going back to Tenet. Yeah, for my lucky totem, I'll bring exactly what this show is all about. I'll bring my green Psylocke, bro. It's the card that everyone keeps forgetting. It's the one that Lando had up his sleeve.
Little green Psylocke.
I'm gonna bring this little green Psylocke, bro. I'm gonna put it in my pocket. It's gonna be my lucky totem. And every time someone mentions something, I have my little green Psylocke. So, and I know that's not the most advantageous card in Sabacc. I mean, there's another type of card you can play too. I used to know how to play Sabacc. I don't think I know now. I think I just put that in my back.
See, I always you said that, and I was like, do I remember? And then I was like, no, that's Pazak. Because in Knights of the Old Republic, you could play Pazak at some of the tables. Similar math game, but different rules, I think.
All right, so finally, almost finally, a partner in crime that you're bringing along. And just in case a fight breaks out, you need them to jump in too.
Ooh, so it's a partner in crime and also maybe in combat. I'm going to look over at my shelf of Black Series figures here. You know what, man? I don't know if necessarily this is a person that would like me, but I'm going to bring the Armorer from The Mandalorian.
Ooh.
I have her figure over there because seeing the way that she handled those troopers in the finale of season 1, Taika's episode, calm, cool, collected, centered, definitely sees the bigger picture. Not easily broken, has connections with all the different coverts. Like, I feel like this is a person that I don't know how I would convince her to commit a crime. That's the thing. Like, how do you get her with you? But I think that she's the type of person that you need. You don't need. I thought about, some wily suspects like Han or Hondo or guys like that. But no, I'm going to go with someone calculated.
Yeah. Convince her that this is the way.
Yeah, exactly.
Stealing the coaxium is the way. RB3, who's your partner in crime?
Partner in crime. Well, I gotta go with someone real slippery. Can get in and out of places really, really easily. And I gotta be Boba Freak, man.
You mean Babu Frick?
But yeah, exactly. I think that would be a perfect part.
For a second, I thought you were calling Boba Fett like Boba Freak.
Boba Freak. I was like,
yeah, that's my Boba Freak, bro. He's a freak.
Yeah, he's freaking the streets. Freaking the streets.
But you mean Boba Freak? Okay,
yeah, Boba Freak.
The little guy, yeah.
Hey.
Yeah. I probably just know.
Bro, you imagine him in a fight? He's probably like Rocket Raccoon, bro.
Yeah, no, he got like that little Jamaican spirit to him. I like it.
He's probably scrappy, bro. He's probably very scrappy. He likes Scrappy Doo.
Yeah. And I mean, even if you don't win the fight, he'll at least distract them enough to where you could, pull the blaster out, hit him with a quick, like that.
Yeah.
And that's how you end the fight, So.
Yeah, I could see him with the little blaster from Men in Black in his hand.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm picking the obvious choice, and I'm low key shocked y'all didn't take it. Who is the best partner in crime of all time? And that's Chewbacca. Not only is he clutched, not only is he, there he is. He's here. He showed up. What's up, Chewie? But either way, he is the best in a fight because he's super strong and he knows how to fight. He's one of the best shooters of all time. Like that bowcaster, he can shoot. And he knows his way to just like, kind of like put his head down and kind of walk out of a situation, even though he's the biggest guy in the room. He can blend in. He's just a Wookiee walking around. No one's really acknowledging him. So I'm picking Chewie. Our last one, Alden, and you get to pick it. It's a getaway ship to quickly get off the planet. What are you taking, man?
It's interesting because you also got to think about your partner, right? So it's like my thought immediately went to my first choice would have been an N1 starfighter from the Naboo, Royal like Bravo flight. But those aren't 2-seaters, and I got to worry about the armorer now. So now you really want to pick up like a freighter or something. So I think I'm going to go for, sort of what we agreed is one of the best, and I'm going to get in.
You're taking mine.
I'm going to get it. You can come in my ship. We can meet up at the exit. I'm gonna go with the VCX, man. I'm gonna go with the VCX 100. The most popular of which would be the Ghost. It's Hera's baby. It's the home of all the Spectres, and it's a great one. And it's like the Falcon, but a little better.
Yeah. How about you, RB3? What are you taking, man?
I don't know too much about ships, man. If I'm being honest with you, I might just have to go with the reliable, the most familiar ship in the entire galaxy, Millennium Falcon. Getting it out of tough places real quick.
Yeah, it's a super fast ship, obviously. You know what? Since you said 2-seater, I don't know why I thought like, what's a cool 2-seater? I'm going with the ARC 170 Starfighter.
That's a good one, man.
From the Clone Wars saga.
Yeah.
For anyone who doesn't know, it's the Clone Wars Clone Trooper pre-X-Wing.
X-Wing's dad.
Yeah, this is a really cool looking ship. It's got the 3 wing things coming out of it. Super cool. It's a 2-seater. Obviously, Chewie's gonna have to squish in there. But it's a fast ship. It'll get his way out. He can be my gunner. He can find a way to escape this planet. And either way, we did it. Alden, real quick, man, what is your final list?
Yeah, so I think that I'm heading in on the job on the XJ6 airspeeder there. It's me and the armorer. We've got the VCX 100 parked out back, waiting to take us away. I've got my calamari flan there. And then if anybody asks, we're just here doing maintenance. Pay no attention to the Mandalorian there.
And then your partner in crime,
the armor.
The armor, and then your getaway ship was
the VCX.
There you go. RB3, your final list.
Well, I had to hop up with my homie Baba Fake. And
I still love how you say his name.
So good.
Baba Fake. And then of course we are on the nice speeder bike that you had mentioned before, the Y2K speeder bike that you had said. And then we got the
Y2K.
And then we got
it's close enough.
and then we of course, like when we're pressed, we gotta tell them yo, just going to the Tashi station for those power converters. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yo, that's a popular spot, bro.
Yeah, popular spot.
It's like the Walmart of the galaxy, bro.
Right.
There's a Tashi station everywhere.
Right.
7-Elevens.
It's the 7-Eleven, yeah.
Right. And they'll know I'm on the Tashi. I'll just, say why would I be here to be a rival gang if I just got this nice floating broom, from that I stole from this kid. I got no reason to mess with you. I'm stealing brooms from children. And then, of course, when they catch on to the lie, I gotta jet off in the Millennium Falcon. So
yeah, I still think you're gonna jet off in the broom. Just pull a Harry Potter, bro.
Hey, I'm here for that. I'm down for that. Why
if the
not?
broom has powers, and it's not Broom Kid who has the powers. It's you.
Yeah.
So you get to fly away in the broom. Yeah, man. I think it's funny for Tashi Station being like a 7-Eleven. You could be like, bro, I'm looking for the hot dogs, bro. I'm looking for just name a bunch of 7-Eleven objects or Tashi Station.
Would it be like a Ronto wrap over a Galaxies?
Ronto wrap or
just looking for a Ronto wrap, man.
Yeah,
a little extra mayo on it.
Or what is that? The Gorg, a nice cooked Gorg.
A Gorg, a cooked Gorg.
Yeah,
exactly.
Gorg longer. By the way, Darth Mr. Meeseeks said it's the SE14R light repeating blaster. I was close. I said SR14 repeating blaster.
Yeah.
Whatever. I used to know this stuff. I'll memorize it once it gets to that portion, guys. You'll see what I can do when it comes to trivia.
Oh yeah, talk that talk.
Yeah, y'all see what I can do, bro. When I beat everyone that y'all picking before me. Either way, I want to give people in the chat a shot to jump in. I'll think of mine. I'll say mine real quick. I said CPH patrol bike. I said, what was my excuse? Oh yeah, that I'm brokering a deal. I'm brokering a deal for the rival gangs. My totem is the green Psylop. My escape ship is the ARC-170 or the ARC-170 Starfighter. And then what was the last one? What am I forgetting? Oh yeah, my partner in crime is Chewy. Clearly. Real quick, anyone in the chat want to sound off? Let me see if there's anyone here.
And again, if people want to support the show on Twitch, twitch.tv/firstcuttmo, or if you just want to go to Twitch and search First Cut TMO, that's where you can find us. Also find us on TikTok, First Cut TMO as well. Also find us on Periscope/Twitter at First Cut TMO, and obviously here on YouTube. Hit that like button, and if you're watching on the replay, leave a comment. Really helps us grow and improve the show, and helps us get more lovely guests like Alden here. So, help us out.
Yeah, thank you so much, Alden, for joining us. Drive Mr. Meeseeks, who says speeder bike. It was like that when I got here is his excuse. He has a lightsaber hilt. Bo-Katan is his partner, and a Jedi Vector. Also, Jeremy Schofer says, this is unfortunately the first time I'm able to catch Sabacc the Block live, and I have to say you guys are digging deep with the deep cuts and different subjects in the lineup. I'm loving it, guys. You guys are absolutely great. Keep up the great work. Thank you, man. I appreciate that.
Yeah, if you really, really like this show, tell a friend about it. Retweet it. Leave a comment even after the stream is over. Help us grow in this algorithm. Because why the F do we only have 20 people watching live on YouTube? But we do got people watching.
I think it's because there's a lot of live streams going on right now.
Well, it's a lot of live streams, and we're live on multiple platforms. So we did have a good amount of people. Shout out to our Twitter platform. We actually did have like 40 people in there watching live earlier. And Twitch, Twitch First Cut TMO.
Also, Jorge Castro in the chat saying, loving the show. Saludos desde Puerto Rico. There you go, bro. Alden. That's
there it is.
All the Boricua love. Los Boricua. Already, man. Where can everyone find you, Alden? Obviously, thank you so much for coming on, but I want people to check out Ach-To Podcast. Where can people find that?
Yeah. Thanks, man. Thanks for having me. It's been such an awesome time hanging out with you guys. You can find me personally at AD_Strider. It's in the description if you're on YouTube, and I retweeted. You can find me there, or tagged and whatever. You can find the show though, Ach-To Radio, Star Wars podcast, everywhere your podcasts are found: Apple, Spotify, iHeart, all that stuff. AHCHTO Radio. It's the planet where Luke exiled himself. Andres can tell you more about it. He's the trivia guy. And so that's where I do all my Star Wars interviews. That's going to be spinning off into a couple more shows on the feed this year. And I just launched with my buddies, Nikki Kumar and Reed Devaney, the One and Done Film Club, a new movie podcast where we take all your favorite franchises and we debate up top which one movie in that franchise you want to watch. And then we do a commentary on it. Cool. In that episode. First one was Indiana Jones, so that show just started. So yeah.
Which one do you guys pick for that? Can you spoil that or no?
I can tell you that it came down to Crystal Skull and The Last Crusade as a battle in that deliberation. So if people want to see, did we go down the route of Crystal Skull? I don't know.
All right. RB3, where can everyone find you, man?
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Director RB3. And again, like I said, please make sure to follow us on all those new platforms that we're talking about here.
Yeah, for sure. And obviously, guys, you can follow me at Squad Leader Ace. Like RB3 said, you can follow us here at First Cut. That's the best way you can show us love. Like the video if you haven't liked it already. Be sure to tune in next week. We will be back either way for the Sabacc the Block crew and the First Cut crew. We're peacing out. Peace.
and square, baby. Fair and square.
What's good, y'all? Andres here.
Hey, what's up, y'all? It's RB3.
Sabrina here to talk about First Cut's Patreon. Yes.
That's right. Now you get to be a part of the First Cut community, as well as support us individually, RB3, Sabrina, and I, and get access to exclusive content all at the same time.
First Cut really began with the Meaning of podcast. That started with myself and Andres Cabrera way back in 2017.
A little over a year ago, they added me on, and what we really do is just champion diverse voices behind the scenes, in front of the camera.
Since we started our YouTube channel, First Cut to House Our Podcast, and we've been growing ever since.
This time last year, we crossed over 1,000 subscribers on YouTube, and now we're just a few hundred away from hitting 4K.
With access to more monetary resources, we're able to hire another editor, we're able to hire more help, and we're just able to promote the show better in general.
So let's run down exactly what you would get on the First Cut Patreon.
You get access to the First Cut Discord server, and we're really excited to be able to have another platform to engage with you guys, to talk about whatever. We're gonna have so many different channels.
Now, our next tier is going to be our colorist.
Video essays are a promise that we made at the very beginning of First Cut that we never really had the opportunity to live up to until today.
And the next tier is visual effects.
Now, we've always wanted to do movie commentaries here at First Cut, and we finally have the opportunity to do it.
Up next is our sound editor category.
And this tier includes everything from the previous tiers, but also a monthly Patreon exclusive live stream. And the next tier is the post-production supervisor.
We are making this tier our access point for our behind the scenes content.
Next up, we have our composer. You get to be in a virtual hangout with RB3, Sabrina, and I. That means you officially get to hang out with us.
And then, of course, we have the final tier, which is the director.
You could be a part of the First Cut crew occasionally on this tier, where you can actually be a part of some of our episodes. If there's something that you're really passionate about that you want to talk about with us on the Meaning of Podcast, this is the tier that you want to be at.
We are starting Patreon so we can expand and produce more content for you guys to enjoy.
I'm super excited to see what 2021 has in store for us, which is why this First Cut Patreon is coming. And whatever way you can support, please do. Again, it's patreon.com/.